Hey guys, welcome back to Stormworks, and welcome back to another video where we talk about some of our current projects and where they are at. Let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so starting out with this thing right here, this is of course designed around a Chinook. It is of course a helicopter. This thing was used in our Search and Destroy series, I believe the second one. And it was actually a pretty useful helicopter. It can lift quite heavy things, it can transport things within it, and it is actually armed with some machine guns as well. Now the issue with this is that it sometimes likes to dive into the water, so that's why we kind of stopped using it, as well as the fact that the series actually ended, so we stopped using it in that respect too. But if we go inside of here, we've obviously got the controls in this seat. We have controls right here for each of the propellers, and of course the engines. If we go down here, we have the cabin lights, we have some spotlights and navigation lights, and that lights everything up. If we want to, we can actually stow these away a little bit, which allows us to get more things in. Doesn't really work out that way, but it gives us a tiny bit more room. We have a bed in the floor. Of course, this was part of a career mode series, so we kind of needed that. And back here, we have a winch, so that we can winch things through the floor if we needed to, which we never actually used, I don't think. Anyway, now that I've dived down here, you can see each of these mag-holes. We did lift a few things up with this thing, directly attached to it, and that actually worked out really well. But you might be asking, where is this thing in development and what am I going to do with it? I think this is actually at the point where I want to stop working on it. We might upload it to the workshop very soon, depending if you guys want to, I guess, have it or not. But yeah, I think this is actually a pretty detailed helicopter. I think it worked actually relatively nicely. There was quirks, obviously, but it's quite nice. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to close the doors really quickly, and we're going to move on to the next thing. Okay, so the next vehicle is this right here. Of course, this is our mini submarine, and we did end up building a mothership submarine for this thing. However, that isn't something that I wanted to spawn in with all of these guys. We might talk about that in another video. Anyway, this thing is armed with a machine gun on the deck, as you guys can see. We can aim up into the sky, and we can shoot things up there, which is pretty nice, to be honest. Wasn't expecting to actually add a mini gun to the front of this thing, but we did. I say mini gun, I just mean a small gun. Anyway, let's move backwards from there. Of course, we have a little bit of a deck right here. We have empty room, which is essentially emptying the water out of this. And then if we go in here, we have some welders. If we go downstairs into the mini sub, we don't really have an awful lot of room, not gonna lie. Let's go backwards and try and turn on some lights. Interior lights, nice, and spotlights. Okay, so at the front of this thing, we actually have a seat right here. We have the engine. This is essentially a generator, so we can turn that on and generate power. And if we go back here, we can control the sub. We have a periscope, which is this thing right here. I need to label things. And that periscope can aim left and right, which actually works out really nicely. Yes. Let's go ahead and bring that back down. Put it in the center, I guess. Oh, close enough. That'll work. And that's pretty good. We have a depth hold right here, which totally works. And we have ballast in and out, which again, definitely works. Towards the back, we actually have a bunch of equipment that we might need. We got hoses, cables, fire extinguisher, and welder, and also a diving suit. Yes. Okay, so if you guys don't know how this thing works, essentially we go underneath an enemy ship, we grab ourselves some C4, we go out of the top right here, equip some diving equipment, attach the C4 to the bottom of the enemy ship, we get back into our submarine, and we sail away. And honestly, as designed, it actually works quite well. So yeah, overall, I quite like this thing. Again though, it has its quirks. I'm not very good with submarines, which is why I sort of don't like building them. This, I don't know, it has quirks, but it sort of works at the same time. Again though, it might be on the workshop at some point, but I'm not sure. I don't like uploading stuff that doesn't work perfectly, and this definitely doesn't work perfectly, just like that thing. But yeah, we'll see. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think anyway. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is the next creation right here. This is actually our light cargo aircraft, which I completely forgot we were building. I'm not gonna lie, I actually just completely forgot about it. I think we need to have our physics detail on high for the doors to actually work properly, but there you go. This is at a point where, obviously, we have the back sort of built. We don't really have the ability to have cargo in here yet. The back door totally works as well. There are no lights inside of this thing, and the only control we have is throttle for the engine. Of course, the engine is on the roof. We have loads of weight on the roof, and I'm not sure this thing would deal with cargo very well. But still, It's a very, very peculiar looking aircraft, and actually kind of cool. I like the way that it looks. But yeah, this thing is nowhere near done, and we might end up actually making more videos on this thing over time, but I'm not sure just yet whether we're going to do that right now. Obviously, we need to add details into the cargo bay, we need to add details into the cockpit, and then it's actually pretty much done. But interior detail is not something I'm good at. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Unfortunately, I have positioned it in the sky, but we're going to go ahead and move into our larger jet cargo plane. So we can open up the doors. This is actually something that I'm somewhat proud of, I suppose. And the landing gear, not landing gear, the stairs actually extend out. When we close the door, the stairs go back in. It works really nicely. We have a button right here for cargo lights. Unfortunately, we do actually have cargo in here right now. So you can't really see the cargo bay, but yeah, it can store 3 of my scout cars. Although they don't really have room for their turrets, the scout cars themselves do somewhat fit in here. Essentially, we can open up the back door and we can parachute these things out. It wasn't designed as a parachute aircraft in terms of like dropping stuff out the back midair. It was designed as a ground cargo plane, but this did seem to work. So, kind of proud of that. In the roof, we have a winch for actually winching things in and out if we need to. This slides backwards and forwards in the aircraft as well. And we have a rear ramp too, which I should probably show you guys. So if we run back here, we can do this. And we can actually lower it down to the floor in case we need to load things in. It works quite nicely. Okay, so we do actually have some seats in this thing as well. We got some seats at the front. I might add some more seats into there because that area is currently not being used. And we have an equipment room in here. Not much equipment, but there is some. From there, if we go inside of here, we can go up to the cockpit. Again, not very much detail in here and kind of weird detail in here. There is only one seat, and it is the pilot seat. We have the autopilot on that side as well, as well as the altitude hold. Throttle in the center for all of the engines, which there are 4 of. And we have the landing gear button right here, which does work. The landing gear folds away quite nicely. On the side, we obviously have our fuel tanks, and we have our fuel right here on the front as well, all added together. Altitude, speed, yeah. In the roof, we of course have beacon lights, we have landing lights, and we have navigation lights, as well as all of the engine controls, which is pretty sick. Now, somebody did ask, why are the engines like that, and why does it look like a B-52? Well, it looks like a B-52 because the engines are like that, and the engines look like that because they look like B-52 engines. So that's kind of why they were designed that way. A few of you guys really wanted that detail, and I think, honestly, it looks pretty good that way. The tail is designed like that because I actually really enjoy building planes with this kind of tail. And that's pretty much the only reason for that. And winglets, I just thought they would look nice. This is actually the first aircraft that I've built with wings like this, where they go sort of step down. A few of you guys really didn't like that, but I kind of do. I think it adds the detail that it sort of needs. Although maybe next time we'll build them straight. Who knows? Anyway, is this going on the workshop? Maybe eventually, but again, right now, it's not really at the stage where it can. I don't think. And I think if I do put it on the workshop and somebody sees it, that doesn't see the videos, they'll be like, this is poopy. Which I think they'd be somewhat correct in saying. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know again if you guys want this on the workshop. And finally, we have this thing. Essentially, we've done 2 streams building this thing so far. It is a ferry for cars and trucks and stuff like that. It is also a truck itself, which is why it's got big wheels. And it's designed to be able to drive around on land and obviously sail in the sea, which it is something that it can do. Again, we don't have any detail on the inside. To be fair, I haven't actually finished with this one at all. If we go downstairs, we have this area right here. It's like a little waiting room. We don't have any lights just yet for that either. And if we go backwards, again, we don't really have anything in here either. We do have controls for these guys, which are essentially little cranes. And the way this works is... Oh, I didn't add buttons. If we press up, essentially what that does is lift this guy up. We then need to disconnect, which disconnects it from this guy. It is on tracks, so it's actually stuck to it right now. And if I do this, it will get sent out to the side. There you go. It might swing a little bit, but that's fine. If I push this button, it'll start going down. And as it descends, there are tracks on the side that these things will attach onto, and it will lower down. So if I do this, it should connect on and lower down really, really nicely. Which is totally working. There you go. Once it gets down onto the ground, you can of course drive whatever vehicle you want onto here. You can then lift it back up using this. And then you can store it back on here, same as this one. It does have a downstairs, however, the downstairs is going to be changing a little bit. Of course, it's not finished, obviously, but it'll be a diesel electric vehicle that we can drive around. I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't really have a huge plan in my mind as to what this was going to look like, but I think in the end, it does look pretty cool. Again, I don't think this is going to go on the workshop anytime soon. It definitely isn't finished. It isn't finished to the point of that thing, this thing, or that thing, but it is probably at the same stage as this guy. Although this one does actually fly. That one doesn't have an engine yet. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think I should do with each of these projects, and whether I should continue with them, or whether I should design a new thing, or what. I actually, at the minute, really want to design a ship and complete the ship, but I find it very difficult to complete projects, as you guys probably already know. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.